Good evening and welcome to this week's edition of The Disruption Show. My name is Claire Munde and today we want to talk all about the young people and entrepreneurship. Now there's this idea among young people that entrepreneurship is an easy journey, it's a way to get money quickly. But today we want to find out, what do you really need to do to ensure that you really succeed in entrepreneurship? And is entrepreneurship the thing for you in the first place? Now, to have this conversation, I'm happy to have on set with me Jacinta Wanjoki, who is a senior entrepreneurship training at the Equity Group Foundation. Welcome.
Thank you, Claire.
I'm also happy to have Dora Msengeti, who is the founder of Msengeti Advocates and Let's Talk Law Africa. Welcome to you.
Thank you so much, Claire.
Yes. Now, there is a Finexcess survey that showed that a lot of people who are venturing into entrepreneurship are over the age of 36. But then following closely are people aged between 18 and 35 years old. So that means there are a lot of millennials who are getting into this. And also Gen Zs are starting to think about entrepreneurship after finishing their education. But first of all, we want to understand, what is entrepreneurship? Sometimes that word is used loosely. Is it the same thing as being a business person, a trader? What is the difference? And I think I'll direct that question to you, Jacinta. What is entrepreneurship, and is it the same as being a business person? Because sometimes they think of entrepreneurship as somebody who has a bigger goal in life. You're not just here to make profits, but you're doing social good. So is there a difference between being an entrepreneur and a business person, or can we use them interchangeably?
Thank you, Claire, for that question. One thing I can say about an entrepreneur, this is a person who is innovative, a person who is ready to take risk, creative. So an entrepreneur is a person who identified a gap. He identifies a gap in the market and also looks on ways of how to fill that gap and come up with a product or a service so that he can fill the gap in the market. When we come to a businessman, this is a person who is already in an existing business. He can be a manager in that business. So an entrepreneur is a person who ventures into a new business, a totally new one. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, I'd like us to find out a little bit about your own journey, Dora. Yes. Tell us, you have been in employment and now you're in entrepreneurship. Tell us about that journey. What made you get into entrepreneurship and how is it going so far?
Well, thank you for that question. Well, one thing I'd say so far, it's not an easy journey, but employment was not bad. I will not lie to someone that skip employment and just go start your own thing. Employment, it gives you skills that equip you and help you when you get into entrepreneurship. I enjoyed employment. Of course, there were the downsides, the normal things that we go through. You will find there are some work environments where they demand quite a lot from you and the compensation is not adequate. What I lacked most when in employment, I felt, was growth, both career-wise and, of course, financially. So with that, I was, of course, I do law. I am an advocate, so I was employed at a law firm from pupillage all the way through until after I was sworn in. And I also found myself venturing into business development. And it's something I found I have a natural acumen for and actually enjoyed learning and doing more of. So I said, I feel a bit stifled where I was. I felt like I needed room to do a bit more and also to be a bit more creative, like the Let's Talk Law Kenya. You said Africa, but amen, that's where it's going. It's going to go global. But yeah, so I felt like a bit stifled. You see, like with Let's Talk Law Kenya, you have the platform on various social media where you share legal knowledge. And while under employment, you would be told, you can't talk about this. It will reflect on the firm like this, or it might interfere with some of our clients. So you find you're always having to talk between the line to please people and not to upset anyone that might be bad for their business. But if I am on my own, I'm free to talk about anything, I'm free to touch on anything, I'm free to teach people about whatever is happening without such restrictions. And it's the same also when with Msengeti Advocates, with the firm, I'm able to explore avenues that I may not be able to in a firm where you're assigned to either you do conveyancing or you only do litigation. But when you're in your own firm, you're free to go across the board and experiment, and you can still engage other colleagues to consult with and work together when you get all types of instructions. So it was mostly for the freedom to do more and to grow in many ways.
Okay, I think you've said some very interesting points there. You've talked about feeling a little stifled when you're in employment, because yes, indeed, when you're in employment, you cannot just say things because it reflects on a company. Then you also talked about wanting to grow and also the financial aspect of that. And that's what we're going to really be focusing on this show, because sometimes people feel like, you know what, I'm making X amount here, and if I was to venture out, can you imagine how much more I'd make? But sometimes it does not translate immediately, and sometimes it takes very long, and it can be discouraging. So people give up on the way, and there are so many factors to consider. So Jacinta, just talk to us. Tell us, what are some of the factors you need to consider before jumping into entrepreneurship? Because one of the main things that many young people are going to into entrepreneurship for is because of the money aspect. You're thinking, if I'm making my employer this amount of money, how much could I make on my own? But as we said, it can be quite an interesting journey. So what should you think before you put in that resignation letter?
Okay. One thing I'll say is that what you're embarking to do, are you passionate about it? Or you just want to do it because other people are doing and they're making money? So first of all, passion. Then have a business plan. And then this business plan, it will have objectives. What are you going to do? Who are you targeting? Yeah. So, and then you also do a market research. This is the product that I want to sell, or this is a service I want to be offering. So, what is the demand outside there? What are the challenges? What is the risk that I'm going to encounter when I start this business? So that you can be able to know, when you get into that business, how will you mitigate the risk? You don't just start a business because another person started it. So it has to come from something that you like doing.
Okay,
Yeah.
I like that, passion, and then doing market research. You know, a lot of people you'll hear said, you know what, I just thought there was a need for this service or this product, so I just went out and started. So a lot of people just jump without that business plan. But as you said, it's very important to do the business plan. So, and then there are others who just have a passion for something, but they don't understand the dynamics of how it works. So just talk to us a little bit more about that business plan, because I think a lot of young people have an issue with this when it comes to business plans, when it comes to budgeting. Those are things that people just live the way they want, and then when things don't work out, they're like, well, I don't understand. So when you're talking about market research, for example, how do you go about determining that there's actually need for this product in the market? So for example, she's in law. There are so many law firms around. So how would somebody like her go about doing market research and see there's actually a need for this kind of service? And she also talked about business development. So there's so many businesses doing this. So how do we go about that?
Okay, one thing when you're doing a market research, you identify the audience. Who are you targeting? Then you also look at those people who are offering the same service or the same product, the competitors. How are they coping? How are they doing? And whatever they are doing, how will you align yourself? How maybe will you be unique? So you will be able to know, now I know this person is doing this, but if at all I can do it differently. I can give an example of, if you allow me, maybe a barber shop. Maybe you are doing a research. And then maybe the community that you want, or the town. You do your research and then you realize there are so many barber shops, but I cannot see an executive kijozi here or a barber shop. And then you do research. Who will be coming to this executive barber? Do they have money?
Yeah.
Who works there? Do we have principals, maybe businessmen? So if at all I introduce an executive one, I will focus on those high-end clients. So when you are venturing into it, you already even have in mind, we have schools here, principals, businessmen, who, when they go to that barbershop, they want to feel that they really belong here. Yeah. So you have done a research, and you see, I'm not going only to open a barbershop, but mine will be executive. I will only focus with the high-end customers. So that person has done what? A business research market. So he's able to know the people who is targeting, not just opening a barbershop, because other people have a barbershop, you just open an ordinary one. Yeah. So you want to be unique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Dora, can you tell us, before you decided to start your own venture, did you do market research? Did you have a business plan? Did you look at what the need for is in the market for your services? And how did you determine that what you're giving is unique? Because you talked about uniqueness.
Yes.
Sometimes it looks like everything is the same. So what makes you stand out, in your opinion, from the rest?
Okay, that was something I had to do before starting out. Otherwise, I would have just sunk into the same bucket with all the other law firms that are in there. We are over 20,000 advocates in the country. So you must have something unique, especially if you're going to venture out on your own. So as I was doing my market research and on the same breath looking at what I am naturally good at and the things I'm willing to learn, I found that there is quite the gap when it comes to offering services, not the usual conventional services like conveyancing, like litigation, but when it comes to training, when it comes to ensuring compliance, when it comes to things like the new laws like data protection, and even now with the new health laws and things like that. If you see my journey with Let's Talk Law Kenya, which started years before my firm, it has always been a passion to inform people about the laws that we have, the loopholes that are there, the ways to maneuver your everyday activities and your business in line with the law so that you succeed. So taking that now, I said I'm going to have a niche with my firm, and I'm going to use the natural talents and specialize in training, specialize in ensuring compliance, because I like people to be empowered with knowing the law and how it's going to help them, and also now help businesses, because now combining with my business development skills and passion, I like to see things grow. I like the challenge of taking something from inception and watching it grow to the vision that someone has for it. So now I combined that and decided I'm going to form a niche. I'm going to be someone who makes sure people know the laws that they need to know for them to succeed and also develop their business. So when you come to my firm, you get a very holistic approach to whatever legal problem you may have, because I'm going to make sure you're empowered to know the laws that you need to know to succeed even before trouble occurs. Because you have to have preventive measures, and then you have to have when things are already bad, now you come into the rescue. And then now you're also going to get insight into what to do to make your business grow and develop. So you get a package that you will not get in any other law firm.
Okay, I like that. So that unique selling factor is that you're empowering people, because sometimes when we go to law firms, it's like, you deal with that. I'm saying you have no clue about anything, but you're like, you deal with that. But you're empowering people to really understand what they're going
like
through.
she said, having a plan and a vision and a mission. When I set out to do this, I said, starting this firm is something I like for it to still exist generations after me. So I want to build a legacy. So I said, how do I build it? Clearly, I'm going to build it by making sure the people I'm helping, their legacy is secured. So if you come to my firm, you'll find our tagline is securing your legacy. Because I always tell my clients, I build my legacy by securing yours.
Yeah, and I think also something that you mentioned about data protection, I think that's also something that the younger generation has an advantage over, because right now we're talking about artificial intelligence. These are some sectors that maybe older firms may not be very aware of, so that's opportunities for people to jump in. But now I'd like us to talk a little bit more about the financial tools that are needed to make sure that you really thrive and survive when you have your own organization and you're in the entrepreneurship journey. Now, Jacinta, tell us a little bit more about what are some of the things financially we should be thinking about as we set up our entrepreneurship journeys. For example, many people will get into, they've done their market research and everything, but then as you're starting, you may not have all this money with you. So you decide, I don't need a legal person, I may not need an accountant and whatnot. You're everything. You're everything. But then that brings a problem, because there are times you fall into a situation you're not aware of the laws and whatnot. So tell us, how do we strike a balance between ensuring that we're not overspending at the beginning, but at the same time making sure we have professionals to take us through this journey?
Okay, one thing I can say, because you also want to minimize on cost, and some people, as you have said, they don't want to employ because they are fearing, I don't have money, how will I be able to afford to pay a salary for another person? But you can look at the things that are not so essential. How can you minimize costs in your business? For example, if at all you are starting, maybe you want to have a boutique, you are a new starter, so you have not already started generating profit. So you can decide to have an offline store, but you go fully online. You want to surprise some things, but you have them in a store.
Yeah.
Then you market online.
Yeah.
So when someone asks or they need, you'll go to the shop and give them.
Yes.
But now that is like an offline
Yeah.
store.
Yeah.
But you're not, you are minimizing on the space.
Yeah.
So this store, it is a store that you're only putting your things there, you're able to pay for it. So that whatever is very necessary, maybe you need somebody to advise you, you'll be able to afford such a person. So you minimize on cost so that you can be able to pay for the most essential things in the business.
Okay, I like that. So you just have to come up with an order of priorities. What is very important to this business? If you said like you have a boutique, you don't need a physical presence, then you can have a store which is much cheaper than having to pay rent every month. You can put that money into something like getting advice on financial consulting or things like that. But then that comes with its own sort of issues, because let's say for a boutique, for example, sometimes people want to go to an actual store to change and see how you look in something, because you know there's that thing of like what I ordered versus what I got, totally different things. So sometimes people are like, okay, this looks good on Instagram or whatever, but when I put it on, it's totally different. And I think also in the service industry, it's also different. And I want you to talk to us a little bit about that. What has your experience been? Because as much as we're moving digital, we're moving to online stores and whatnot, there are people who still trust the physical presence. So let's say a wedding dress, you're not going to order online. You want to actually feel it, fit it and stuff like that. So how do you deal with that, and what has your experience been?
So personally, I will talk from my experience. When starting out, I did not start out having saved for years to go into this venture. It is something that it was a decision I either do it now or, you know, it's gone into oblivion. So, you know, I, like many other entrepreneurs, did not have that much capital to invest in all the things you would like to have when starting out. So like she said, you have to come up with an order of priorities. And at the time I was starting, paying for an office was not top of the list. There were many other things that needed the money, that was the resources that were available at the time. So I decided to start virtually, because it is possible, especially with most of the services that I decided to offer through my firm. Working virtually was convenient at the time. But then you will find there are clients that will come and will ask, when can I come to your office? Even before they tell you the problem that they need help with, they want to come and see you at your desk in your office.
How did you meet this client initially?
So, no, referrals.
Or referrals.
Referrals.
They call you and say, I want to come to your office.
Yes. Or you get, there's something called cold marketing, where you're literally just sending emails, you're throwing them, you're casting your you're casting your to see who is going to come. So there's a lot of ways. There's online through the Let's Talk Law Kenya, sharing content. There are people who will see that, be like, I think they can help me with this problem. So there are different avenues to get the clients, which I took advantage of and still do. But now you'll get some of them, especially the ones that come through referrals. You'll find, when I'd like to come to your office, when is the best day and time to come? And you're there, okay, now what do I tell them? So, you know, you try to maneuver and you tell them, oh, can we do a virtual meeting, at least just to get to know each other? Or can we meet like at a Java or at cafe? There are some people who do not mind, honestly. And there are people who do prefer the virtual. Maybe they're out of the country, or maybe they don't have that much free time to move to places. And there are people who prefer to meet like at a Java or at a restaurant because they like the environment. But there are those who, the moment you say that, you'll just hear, let me call you back, or I'll call you later, or I'll send you an email or a WhatsApp, and that's it, they're gone. And you can just sense that they feel like maybe you're trying to con them. And it's a tricky thing to maneuver. Up until now, you just pray and you're like, you hope they understand and they at least give you the chance to try out your services and see that you are genuine and you do deliver good services. But I did lose a number of clients because I did not have an office. It was quite the challenge.
How do we navigate that, Jacinta? Because as we said, we're moving online, but at the same time, there are people who have this idea that, hey, there are a lot of fraudsters online, and it's true, there are a lot of fraudsters online. And even when you think about things like buying plots and stuff like that, one of the things they'll tell you about due diligence is go to their office and whatnot. And then if you say that I never visited their office, they'll be like, wow, you didn't care about your money. So how do we navigate that field of, yes, we're moving online, but at the same time, there's that trust issue? Because we're trying to cut costs, but at the same time, there's that mind shift that needs to happen.
Okay, maybe I can say you need to network with other entrepreneurs, get to know them. These people will help you because they have been in business, so have good relationship with them. Because you can have someone who is maybe already has a shop or a boutique, you can talk to them so that when you have clients who really want to know, they want to see you, since you have collaborated with other entrepreneurs, they are able to help you. Because in due time, you know, this is a journey you have started. So as you continue to grow yourself, you'll be able to own your own. For now, work closely with other entrepreneurs, network, attend seminars, workshop, like the training that I do. People come there, not only do we train them, they are able to know each other. They exchange numbers. So we in Equity Bank, we are able to train young entrepreneurs. And when you come for that training, you are also able to network with other people who are experienced than you. You gain knowledge, and at the same time, they help you to grow.
Okay, I think what you've said is very important, the importance of collaboration and networking. And as you've said, like Equity Group has that ability for people to really network and get to know people within the field. Before we go to the burning your fingers in business, because this happens sometimes, it's not overnight success most of the times. Tell us a little bit about what you said about that importance of collaboration and networking and working with people who are already in the field to make your journey easier. And then now you'll tell us a little bit about your experience, like is it overnight success? Should I just resign tomorrow and say I'm hitting entrepreneurship? Tell us your journey.
So let's start with her point, yeah? It is a very important thing and a very good thing to go out there, to network, to collaborate, because, you know, you might have done your research, you might have thought and spent nights and days coming up with what you're going to do, but you'll find you'll go somewhere and someone will say just one thing, and it's going to make what you've been struggling with it's make a lot of sense and so much easier. So you're going to have people who are going to help you with ideas, who are going to show you better, easier ways to do something you might have been struggling with for a while. And also now you're going to get like referrals. Someone might have a client, maybe it's not in their area of expertise, or they'll just like to collaborate with you, and you get to work together and make money together. Some people are kind-hearted. They don't even want you to give them money. They just refer you. It's like, hey, I think you'd be able to help so-and-so. I'm going to connect you with them. And even on that, like when I started now, when my farm was running mainly virtually, through collaborating with colleagues, now you have some who already started their own farms a bit earlier, so they have their own office spaces. So you'll find in situations whereby I may need documents delivered and I need an address to give out, I can ask my friend, hey, can I use the address of your office for the purposes of work? And they agree. So you see, now it makes work easier. Now when you have a client who needs to send something, you can tell them, oh, kindly send it to this address, and they're at ease now. They know it's going to a physical place, it's going to an office. And then also, it's very good to network also because of mentorship. You get people who have been there, they've done that. So when you get to a place where you feel like, oh my God, I don't know how to move, or I don't know how to do this, or this is very difficult, you find someone who's been in that position many times over, and they'll tell you, keep going, or they'll tell you, oh, this is how you should try to navigate, and it works. And it just it's just good to have someone who can guide you to go through what you're trying to do, because you know, it's not easy. You don't just wake up and say, I'm going to start my business, it's going to do well, you people are going to see. Hey. Please don't lie to yourself like that. And don't let anyone lie to you like that. It is not easy. If you're going to start out into a new venture, you have to be very prepared. Not just financially. Financially is a little part of it. Mentally, psychologically, emotionally, because it's going to take quite a toll on you. And if you're not careful, it's going to drain you to the point where you're like, you know what, I tried, this is not working, I give up. You also need a support system that's going to carry you through. Colleagues, network, you get mentors, If you have family, that's an added plus. If you have family that is there, because some people have family that is not good.
True.
If you have family that is there for you, lean on them, because you will have days when you are in the fetal position, blanket over your head, you're just rocking back and forth like this, asking yourself, who told me this would be a good idea to do this? What was I thinking? And on those days, you're going to need someone who's going to help you carry through. And if you are someone who believes in a higher power, if you are committed to any kind of faith, that is when you hold on to your faith the strongest. Because you may have a support system of friends or family or colleagues, but there are times when they may not be able to be there for you, or just won't, because life happens to everyone. So you need to have that something that even when you yourself can't get back up, it's going to pull you through. So I advise people to always hold on to a faith that's going to help you. Other than the support system, other than mentors, other than colleagues, it's still very important to have that, because it's not easy.
I like, those are really good points that you've put across. You know, have a good support system, believe in something higher, and you'll really make it, and have those mentors. And as we wrap up this conversation, Jacinta, maybe you can just give advice to those millennials, those Gen Zs who want to get into entrepreneurship. What is the one thing that they should take away from this conversation that we've had to make sure that, yes, maybe you've decided 2024 is the year, but how do you go about it to make sure that everything goes well and you don't end up failing?
Okay, one thing I can tell them is that they should not just run into a business, but they should sit down, think about what they want to do, have a clear business plan, and also do market research before starting anything.
Okay.
And learn from others.
Yeah, I think what I've gotten from this is that no man is an island. Just learn to collaborate, learn to network, and really understand that you should not just jump into things, but really do that business plan, do your research well. This has been a good conversation, and we'll continue to have these conversations. So I'd like us to wrap up this conversation for today. It has been really good having you both. And until next time, you do have a good evening. I have been your host, Claire Munde. Have a good evening.